Hey everybody, and welcome back to I Do Everyday Automation, where we talk about and review products and do projects to make life easier. On today's episode, I want to show you something pretty cool that you could probably do with an old laptop that's laying in the corner, collecting dust. So this all started when I decided to replace my Fire TV. I looked at a couple of Android boxes and nothing really wowed me for the price point I was looking at. Then I remembered, I have this old Dell laptop that I got from a relative a while back and just never really found a good use for. It's in perfect order, battery works fine and everything. It's just, older. It has a Intel Core i5 560M processor, which is about 2.6 gigs. It's on, I believe, the Westmere architecture, came out around 2010 or so. I was gonna slap in this Hynix solid state drive in it just to give it a little bit more pep. And I'm going to put Android 86 on it. And for those of you who don't know, this is basically a port that allows you to install Android on Intel architecture, namely laptops and desktops. So I thought that would be pretty cool. It'll speed it up a little bit. Laptop only has about 4 gigs of RAM. But then I did a little bit of searching and I was like, well, if I'm going to spend a couple of dollars anyway, potentially getting something to replace my Fire TV, which is on its last leg, and my Ethernet port isn't working anymore, let me see what eBay has. And I scored big time. I found this Dell laptop. It is a E7250. It's on the Haswell architecture. This guy is capable of hyper-threading. It has about 3 gigs, I think, 3 gigahertz on the processor. It's on the newer architecture, has 8 gigs of RAM. So this guy's going to be pretty beefy. It also has an Intel solid state drive in it already, so we're good to go. The only difference between these two is that the newer one, of course, uses the graphical interface, and I'll show you guys that here in a bit. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to grab a jump drive real quick. We're going to load Android 86 on it. I'm going to show you guys how to do that, and we will get cracking. All right, so just to give you guys an idea of how I found the laptop I have, I went to eBay and I did a search for a laptop Intel Core i5, and I put in a couple of filters. I wanted it to be under $100. I wanted somewhere between 8 gigs of RAM or more, and just kind of set that as my search parameter just to see what was out there. So you have a couple of items here. So I tried to find one that was ending, soon-ish. You can even sort, by buy it now. I know most of you are probably familiar with how eBay works. For instance, this looks like a good one right here. It has a Core i5, 16 gigs of RAM, but no hard drive. And look at that, it's a Dell E7240, which is just one model off from what we have with the 7250. So these are not hard to find. And right now the current bid on this is 10 bucks. I mean, you could kind of wait it out if you want it. It's not in the best of shape. Doesn't have a battery, but we don't really need it for our application. Dells are usually a little bit easier to come by since a lot of corporations use them and basically throw them away once they're done with them. Those seem to be, the corporate models seem to be a little bit more durable and easier to find than HPs in my opinion. So you can see all of these are shown that the boot menu is available, and that's really going to be the biggest thing, is making sure you can get into the BIOS so you can image it. So you have options. So the next piece to the puzzle, you're going to need to download both Rufus and the Android 86 operating system. So we'll go ahead and go to the Android x86 website. You're gonna look for the newest version at the time of video. Currently it's 8.1, release 1. This is the first stable release of Oreo. There was a release candidate before you had an official stable release back in October. The first stable official release is gonna be this one, 8.1. So it may be something newer by the time you guys are ready to try this project out, but at the time of this video, this is what it was. So you're gonna download that as well. Now, of course, I've already downloaded both of these so we can get right into the action. You're gonna need obviously a USB flash drive. I have one that I just happen to have. Of course, you know, when you're doing stuff like this, you keep them around. So we're gonna go ahead. There's two versions of Rufus. There's the install, and then there's the portable version, which runs on its own, depending on if you have it on a flash drive or anything. We're gonna go ahead and run the install just so you guys can see how it looks. And we can go ahead and get it to check. Okay, didn't see anything. So now, it already selected the USB drive. If not, you can hit this drop down to select the appropriate drive you want to image. We have the disk or ISO image already. So we're gonna go ahead and hit select. And we're just gonna go to our network drive where we have the image saved. All right, and here we have the Android x86 ISO. So we're gonna go ahead and select that and hit open. It's gonna scan the image and now it's ready. So you're just gonna hit start. So we're gonna go ahead and hit write ISO. It already has it selected to image mode, which is recommended. Gonna go ahead and hit OK. And it just gives you the warning that everything on the flash drive is going to be erased. Currently we don't have anything on here. This is a brand new version flash drive, so we're going to go ahead and hit OK. It's going to clean all of your boot records and everything, and then it's going to create the structure. And now it's copying and burning the ISO to the flash drive. While this is going, I would advise using a USB 3.0 or higher drive. It just writes everything a little bit faster and reads a little bit faster as opposed to using a USB 2.0. For example, I usually pick up my USB 3.0 drives if I'm just going to be using them for cheap throwaway drives that I don't care if they get lost. I go to Micro Center. This one, it was a 16 gig. I believe I got it for like $3. So, you know, I pick up usually 4 or 5 at a time as I go, you know, just for make sure I always have a flash drive available. So that Latitude E6410, we're still gonna go ahead and set that one up with Android and with the solid state hard drive as well. I'm just gonna do it off camera. Gonna get kind of repetitive. Really, the only thing that's different, as I mentioned, is the UEFI menu between the two PCs. So I may record that as I do it just to show you guys a little bit of the difference between the UEFI, which is going to be on the newer laptops, which is more of a graphical interface. But the process is pretty much the same. You're going to boot into the BIOS. Depending upon the laptop or the desktop, you're going to likely have to hit F12 or F2, depending on what they have set up to allow you to boot from the BIOS. You're going to select the USB drive, and then you're going to hit run. And we're going to show you that here in just a minute as soon as this ISO finishes burning to the flash drive. All right guys, so I'm going to show you the process on the second laptop. During video editing, I noticed that the video from the second laptop came out a little bit clearer than the video from the first laptop. I want you guys to get a good example. So what I'm doing right now on the second laptop is pressing F12 to get into the boot menu. It's the same on the first Dell laptop, but the interface is a little bit different. The first laptop, since it's a little bit newer, has a graphical interface. This one is more the legacy UEFI style. So we're gonna go down to UEFI boot, which would be the same process on any other laptop or desktop. You're gonna find the UEFI jump drive, and you're gonna hit enter. And then you should see this menu. You're gonna make sure you hit Advanced Options. And you're gonna go down to Install to Specified Hard Disk. So that just detects everything, and you're gonna select the actual physical hard disk. Make sure you don't select the jump drive, obviously. And then you're gonna hit enter. And it's just gonna tell you that you chose the auto installation and that it's gonna erase everything on the primary drive. You're gonna hit yes, and then hit enter. This is gonna format the drive. This usually goes by pretty quickly. And now it's gonna write the OS to the drive. And then from here, you're just gonna hit Run Android x86 and hit enter. This usually takes a minute or two just for it to boot into the Android operating system. And then at this point, you are pretty much in Android. From here, you're just gonna configure it like you would a new Android phone or tablet, or if you have an Android TV box. It's gonna look for wireless networks. For now, we're gonna skip that. Just to show you guys basically what you're looking at once you actually get, past all of the normal install a new device. And then at this point, you can choose whichever launcher you want. You can also install the Android TV launcher or any of the launchers from the Play Store. I'm gonna set mine up like my Android TV in the living room. Like I said, this is just a matter of personal preference, but the two that come with it are the Launcher 3 launcher, which is kind of the standard, and then you have the taskbar launcher. We're gonna show you this one real quick. So this one kind of looks more like and feels like more like Windows. Let's wait for the camera to focus a bit. So this looks and feels a little bit more like Windows. You have your start menu down here, and your apps will show up just like in a Windows dock. So if you're gonna use it as a Android PC, you can still install, Microsoft Word and all of those apps and actually use this pretty smoothly without much lag, like a PC, which is pretty cool. But we're gonna use this as an Android TV, so I'm gonna show you guys the setup process for that. So this video is more of a dual use kind of setup. In the next video, I'll show you an Android TV operating system meant for that purpose. So we're a little over halfway done with this project. If you intend to use your new Android laptop just as a laptop and you don't plan to use it as an Android TV like I do, you can stop here. But if you want to use it as an Android TV, to get the resolution to match on your TV, to get 1920 by 1080 resolution, you're gonna have to do a little bit of configuration to the Grub start menu, to the config file in the Grub start menu, and I'll show you how to do that here now. You're gonna go ahead and power on the laptop, and you're gonna wait for it to come to the Grub 2 menu. As soon as you see this screen here, you're gonna wanna hit the E key. Make sure you're on the first line. So you're gonna go down and you're gonna look for where it says roughly what you see here, Linux kernel. It'll say something about root equals dev, RAM 0, Android boot, so on and so forth. You're gonna go all the way to the end of that line, and you're gonna need to type a bit of code just to make sure that the resolutions match. Now, again, so this is one slight drawback. This is meant for 1080p resolution. I haven't tested it with a 4K monitor yet. I'll update as soon as I know for sure if this trick works with 4K resolution as well. But most of you guys will be using this on an older laptop, so it probably won't be an issue. So here's what you're gonna type. And I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the screen. You're gonna type VGA equals 788. Let me change the keyboard. VGA equals 788 space video equals 1920 by 1080 space video equals E capital D capital P minus 1 colon D. And you're going to add another piece that I didn't type in the original video. You're going to type capital L, capital V, capital D, capital S, minus 1 colon D. So as it stands now, there's no clean way to get the Grub to save these settings permanently that I could find. I'm gonna continue to research this, and if I do find an update, I will post the update in the bottom section of the comments, just to let you guys know. So if you guys are aware of any way to update the Grub and save it, as the Grub is currently read-only, then just let me know. Or if there's an easy way to do it from within Android, let me know. There's a couple of other ways you can do it, but it involved something that got a little bit more technical, and I really didn't want to show it in the video, so that's why I didn't really show you guys that option. Plus, I figured this setup is more of a temporary, just run and gun type of setup, or for a secondary life for a laptop that you guys already own. So from here, you're just going to hit F10, and that's it. Now the primary laptop monitor should turn off, and you'll see the secondary monitor that I have connected here using HDMI comes on with the Android logo. And then from there, you should be able to boot into the Android operating system and configure everything as normal.
Alright guys, that's going to be it for this week's video. So I've been trying to bring you guys content that's a little bit more easy to digest, except for the more technical things. I know this is kind of on the borderline between the two, but this one was pretty easy, and anybody with an old laptop and a USB drive can follow these instructions. So hopefully you guys learned something. If you like what you saw, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see more stuff like this as we go along. And in the coming weeks, we will get back on track with some of the other stuff I discussed in previous videos, and we will continue on the next one. See you guys later.